on the air. At least not the words that don't hit the, that are not allowed. So Karen's going to be with us today in the 7 o'clock hour, and that'll be fun. So we'll love to get your calls. Kind of a quick week in review. We were fortunate enough on Tuesday to have Alyssa, both of the Alyssas, Steigerwald and Jacobson from Equality ERA Now, which is awesome to have them on the show. And then my man Kurt Mullett was with us on Wednesday. Yesterday we had Dr. Regina Miranda talking about mental health for our children, which leads into mental health for all of us. So really a great week to have wonderful folks with us. And next week's going to be fully loaded. We've got a number of great guests with some events that are going on here in Chicago, as well as some local organizations that you guys want to find a way to get behind and support. So just to let you guys know, it's going to be a nice busy week next week here at Choose Views. If you're traveling today, get out early, get to the airport early. The lines are going to start to get a little bit longer, and people are going to don't be the person, Henry, that gets to the airport and you ain't ready. You want to be the champion of readiness going to the airport today. Make sure you got your identification ready. You got your boarding pass ready. If it's paper or if it's on your phone or device, have it ready so that when you step to that line, that you are the person that has, you're good to go and ready to go. So be that one that's ready to do your thing. So just that FYI. And as we get through today and talk about some of the things that are happening in and around our world, I'll do my best to leave you guys with some positive thoughts for the weekend and kind of arm you for the weekend. And I've got a clip that I'll save for you until the last part of the show today, so we can send you off to a weekend where you're going to be as motivated as you possibly can be. So there you go. But I wanted just to let you guys know to prepare yourself for this weekend. As always, even though the election has come and gone, and we're now in this next phase of this reality, I still want to make sure that on Fridays I'm doing the best I can to give you the motivation to hang with the folks you're going to hang with and be prepared to deal with the things that they might say to you that you aren't going to like. So there you go. It's getting you armed up and suited up for the weekend. And so, excuse me, guys, I got to keep clearing the throat because it's that time of morning when your throat's a little bit, it's dry and it's running slow, and you just kind of work through it. So that's kind of how we roll. So we have some clips that we're going to get to that I think just are the state of where people are and the state of how we've got to be ready to deal with these crazy folks that have been elected and these crazy folks that have been responsible for the elections and the people that are going to unfortunately be standing at the till, as the phrase goes. But there's a clip I want to hit you guys with before we go to this first break. And, the question around how we got here and who did what and who is responsible, but also who is it that in some ways is still lying to themselves. We've got this clip from, it's with a panel that includes Kellyanne Conway. It includes Kevin McCarthy, who gets kind of dragged by political voice Sarah Longwell. So we're gonna hit you with this clip real quickly before we go to break.
Right. Even if you go to the poll and not Republican or Democrat, I think it was maybe 3 months ago, independents believe the greatest threat to democracy was Joe Biden getting reelected. And that was independents, not Republican or Democrat. So what you say, you can believe, but that's not what the American public believes.
There's a difference between what the American people think and what's true. So the idea, I don't know why, I don't know what we are, why the defense of Merrick Garland, sure. Donald Trump lied about an election being stolen and then sicked a mob on the Capitol. And it's funny that you roll your eyes at this, Kevin, because you're the one who went down and resurrected him. You want to know what happened just now in the 2024 election? Is we elected the most dangerous criminal human being, corrupt human being that America has ever elected. And Kevin, you helped him. You're the one who went and got him after.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
you're welcome.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Okay.
And in doing so, you enabled this. And so Joe Biden, the idea that Joe Biden's Justice Department is the problem here, as opposed to Donald Trump, and the fact that he tried to overturn an election and sick people on the Capitol, is, I don't know if people let you get away with that in rooms all the time, but you should never be allowed to get away with it.
So you do realize President
Jason.
Trump won the popular vote.
Stop.
I do.
And
Okay. The last sentence out of Sarah Longwell's mouth before she then got interrupted is right on point. I don't know what you get away with in other places, but you're not getting away with it here. And you're responsible. And you went to Mar-a-Lago. And what's our phrase, Henry? You can't go to Mar-a-Lago. So that's how we have to be. I look for things that speak beyond what I say. That's how we have to be. Sarah Longwell puts it, makes it plain. You went down there. You did this. You contributed to him getting reelected. And I don't know how you roll in other places, but you're not here. That's all you got to do, guys. Not all you have to do, but that's one of the things you can do. And just be prepared to say, listen, you know, I did this about a week and a half ago. I created a list of the people who were contributors to this craziness. But you don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. You can just have your own version of it. And that's when people ask me for, so Richard, give us some things that we can use to fight back. Well, that's one of them. That's just one example. But it's not that you're going to replay and share that clip with a bunch of people. What it is your ability to stand up to people that come to you with craziness and garbage. And if you find out that they voted for Donald Trump, you got to make a decision. You have to make a decision of how much love and care and whatnot you're going to give them, because they made a decision to put the blade to your neck. They just did. Because if you hear how she broke that down in terms of his criminality, his actions, his inability to run the country in the previous the last 4 years that he was in office, that's something that you want to be able to use across the board. If there's a local politician that ain't stepping up, then be able to dig in and let it be known. And if it's a regional or national politician, same thing applies. But in this, you know, I don't get a sense from people right now that they're worried about how their life will be in the next 4 years based on what local officials are doing. But we do need to pay attention to what local officials are doing. Okay? And I say that here in Chicago, and you could be in LA, you could be in Pittsburgh, you could be in Des Moines, Iowa. You got to pay attention to that. But on a national level, what she said, what Sarah Longwell just said, is spot on. And that's the message for you guys to take away. You can stand up to these bullies. You can stand up to these knuckleheads. And you should. You should not cower. You should stand up. So take a page out of her book and calling out Kevin McCarthy real time and making it plain to him, nah, not here, pal. Not here. So, all right, kids, we're going to take a quick break. 773-763-9278. When we come back, some Choose Views news and what's happening in Chicago this weekend. 773-763-9278. We'll be right back.
This is a WCPT Moment in Labor. In 2011, 6 Jimmy John's employees in Minneapolis were fired by their franchise-owning company, Mickey Lynn Enterprises, after fighting for paid sick days. This is a common theme in the union-free world of fast food. Over 13 million Americans work in the fast food industry, making an average of $13,500 a year, not even half the average cost of living. 80% of fast food workers have experienced work-related injuries, and only 13% were covered by their employer. A group of employees referred to as the Jimmy John's Six fought for these rights, creating an online campaign, posting a picture of 2 sandwiches saying one of these was made by a healthy employee, the other was made by a sick employee. Can you tell the difference? Too bad, as Jimmy John's workers do not get paid sick days. Help workers win sick days. More than 32 million Americans work a job that does not offer paid sick days. This has been a WCPT Moment in Labor. We're working for your rights.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
It's Choose View with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose View, 773-763-9278. Let's take a quick ride over to Choose View's news to see what's kind of happening in our world. The new CFPB rule cuts overdraft fees, and this is something that can be, softly attributed to the Biden administration. A rule restricting banks and their ability to charge overdraft fees could potentially save Americans $5 billion a year, according to CNBC. Under the new Consumer Financial Protection Bureau regulation, big banks and credit unions would slash overdraft fees from $35 to $5 per transaction. The move follows a drop in overdraft fee revenue after major banks like Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, lowered or eliminated fees. The rule, which will take effect in October, faces strong opposition from banking groups. Listen to that, banking groups. Bunch of rich dudes sitting around figuring out how they can jam up people even more. Well, which argue that it could limit access to overdraft protection. That's a bunch of garbage. It won't. Meanwhile, 44% of Americans expect their finances will improve in 2025, and that's something that Joe Biden can take some credit for, not Trump, because it ain't about him. Court rejects NASDAQ's diversity push, this was really an odd one. The Federal Court of Appeals has struck down NASDAQ's efforts to institute diversity rules for the boards of its listed companies, a serious setback for one of the nation's highest profile diversity pushes. One of the rules would have required NASDAQ listed companies to reveal the gender and racial breakdown of their boards. What's wrong with that? The other set minimum targets for diversity. In most cases, one female director and one director who was a racial minority or LGBTQ+. The ruling, which could ultimately end up at the Supreme Court, follows a spate of reversals on diversity policies in corporate America. I'll keep it clean. Why? I mean, I just don't. Why do you not, America, want to see our country embrace its diversity on all levels? What is wrong with this country? It's not great if you can't do that. It's not let's make America great white again, or white great again. And that some people may be put off by how I said that, but it's not about that. It shouldn't be about that for a country that wants to be great and continue to prosper and grow. It's not. Diversity is our strength. So anyhow, from the boardroom to the playground, that's where and how we should be. Exxon plans to power data centers with the energy demands of artificial intelligence putting an ever-increasing strain on the nation's electrical grid. Oil giant ExxonMobil announced plans to design a natural gas fuel plant to power data centers, which makes some sense in terms of our environmental prudence. According to Exxon, the plant will be equipped with technology to capture 90% of carbon dioxide emissions and will be fully detached from the electrical grid to expedite construction. The company is only in the planning stages for the facility, though it claims it has already secured land and could have a plant running within the next 5 years. That's a good move in the right direction. All right, a couple other quick items. Warner Brothers does some reshuffling. Warner Brothers Discovery is restructuring its business into two separate units, one for linear networks and the other for its streaming assets and studio division. According to Bloomberg, the move, which is due to take effect by mid-2025, aims to help the company pursue further value creation, setting up a potential spinoff of Warner's linear business. The announcement comes after Comcast said it would spin off its cable networks, and Disney CEO Bob Iger said the company could sell its traditional networks. The cable industry faces an existential crisis. As why? Because subscribers are turning to streaming services for their entertainment. And that also means that a lot more consumers of digital, not only information, but viewing and services are just shifting gears, and we see it with the news from the mainstream media. So, all right, guys, let's figure out what it is you're going to do this weekend here in Chicago. Some of the best things that you can do this weekend start with, I found this one really interesting, the 12 Bars of Christmas. Excuse me. 12 Bars of Christmas. So what is that? It's not singing bars, musical bars. For one day in December, the 12 Bars of Christmas pub crawl, better known as T-Box, takes over Wrigleyville, bringing the drunken debauchery of summer months into the holiday season. Dozens of bars throughout the neighborhood participate in the booze-soaked revelry as participants in festive garb take advantage of different specialty drinks while indulging in the traditions of the holidays. So go out and enjoy yourself, but be safe. I found that one as a kind of a different way to get out and hang. Keeping along the conversation, or keeping the conversation along drinking, Sauce Night before Christmas. That's today and tomorrow. It's going to be in Loop. Pop-ups at the Chicago Athletic Association will be hanging out for holiday food and retail vendors. You can grab a cocktail while shopping and enjoying some of the nice stores and other revelry in the Chicago downtown area. Then there's the Randolph Street Holiday Market, which should be a lot of fun. Wander around on a cold day today and tomorrow, the Bloody Mary in your hand in the Randolph Street Market, which will boost an eclectic smattering of vendors selling anything from furniture to handmade clothing to antiques and more treasures that can be part of your memorable gifts for the season. And if you're looking to check out some music, tomorrow, Shakira Henry's going to be at the United Center. So this is one of her first music albums in 7 years, and she's going to be returning to Chicago. So you might want to check that out if you got the time. And then last but not least, Kids Hot Cocoa with Claws. That will be taking place downtown Chicago as well. So another thing you can check out and grab yourself some hot chocolate and hang out with your family. And if you want to look up into the sky to see something cool, there'll be the Holiday Drone Show over at Navy Pier. And that's going to be happening later today, this evening. So make your way out, guys. Don't get stuck in the house. Get out and do something. Have some fun. Grab your friends and family and say, come on, let's go get out and enjoy this colder weather, I should say, in Chicago, but do something fun. I always like to give you guys a couple of things to lean into for the weekend. All right, let's grab a quick call from our man Kurt from Akron, Ohio. Good morning, Kurt. Welcome to Choose Views. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday the 13th, and happy birthday, Dick Van Dyke, at age 99.
That's right. I've seen that this week. Wow.
You saw that. Not you seen it. You saw. You're not from Portage County, Ohio.
I've seen that this week. I saw it also.
You're sounding like you're from Portage County, Ohio when you say that.
I seen that, man.
That's always the running joke around here in Northeast Ohio. When someone says, I seen it, are you from Portage County?
I seen it.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. I was actually going to talk about something you talked about yesterday, but I got to thinking more and more, especially with Dick Van Dyke turning 99 today.
Okay.
And it dawned on me why I get so defensive about Joe Biden being picked on with his age and everything. And it's because, he kind of reminds me of my grandfather.
Okay.
Who would have been 100 years old on January 6th of 2025. And, I'm thinking about him a lot lately and thinking of why I'm actually a Democrat. And it stems back to how he was brought up. Mm-hmm. And a quick story is where back almost 100 years ago, it was during the Republican Depression. And yes, that's what it was called, kids, before Eisenhower became president, was the Republican Depression. He lived on a farm. And now that's Kent State University Stark campus in Stark County, Ohio. It's a branch campus of Kent State University. But anyway, he would be on the farm with his dad at night looking out at the back potato fields, and they would see people coming in from the south, which you're familiar with as Massillon, Ohio. Mm-hmm. And my grandfather, as a young boy, would say, should I go in the house and get the gun, meaning to shoot them off the property? And his father said, absolutely not. And he explained to my grandfather that they lived out in the country and they had plenty to eat. The people out in those fields right now are from the city. They may have children. They're hungry. Their children are hungry. And as long as they don't take everything, I'm not going to stop them from taking what they need in order to eat. And my grandfather, He lived that creed for the rest of his life until he died in 2003. I'm telling you, Richard, he put everyone ahead of himself all the time. I mean, when the Second World War was going on, his father actually got a letter from the War Department saying that he had 2 sons of fighting age, and this is towards the end of the war, and my grandfather is one of the 2 sons that was of fighting age. My grandfather just happened to get the mail that day and saw that letter and opened it. And he went down voluntarily and enlisted in the U.S. Army and never told his brother what he did in the contents of that letter. He just said he got drafted.
Right.
And he never wanted his brother to know the reason why, because he knew his brother wanted to be a farmer. and then when he became a businessman, he was a heating and cooling man. You know, his philosophy was that and I'm going to say for the time, it was every man has the right to take care of his family, you know, because it was the 50s. We got to keep that in mind. It's not necessarily a sexist thing. So keep that in the context. But he said that he believed every man had a right to take care of his family, even if it was someone who was in competition with him. Mm-hmm. You know, he was so well respected as a small businessman in the community. He would co-sign loans for his competitors.
Wow.
And then when he died, Richard, when he died, all 16 of his grandchildren wrote letters to him, and none of us read them until the night of the calling hours. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting that there were 3 things that we all focused on: his generosity, his love of chocolate ice cream, and the way he could make each and every one of us feel like we were the most important person in the world.
Yeah. You know,
and that's what it comes down to.
Well, and Kurt, and the story and the stories that you've shared with me and shared with our listeners are always just they're reminders of, at the end of the day, the good that we aspire to have in ourselves, but that we wish to connect with other people. And it's one of the reasons that I think that people are hopeful right now in terms of what's happening and what's happened with the selection, is that people want to reach toward that. There's more people that I believe truly want to reach toward that. I know as much as I talk about the things that we have to be ready to deal with, it's so that we can have the greater good of all of us be at the top of the list.
And I live that. And, you know, I'll tell you, too, back in 2000, I had to have a secondary lens implant put in because I had cataracts when I was young. And I went to have the secondary lens put in my eye, and it happened to fail. And I'll never forget calling my grandfather, telling him on the way home how it failed and they had to do another surgery, which, by the way, thank God for Union Health Insurance. It didn't cost my parents anything to do this. Cost $20,000 to do absolutely nothing. But, again, they didn't have to pay any of it.
Right.
I just remember my grandfather being at his office because he was still working. He was retired on paper, but he was still working in his business, calling him and telling him what happened. And he hung up the phone and said, screw this, I'm going to go sit by his bedside, sit by Kurt's bedside. And, you know, we lived 10 minutes away from my grandparents. And it just took about an hour that day. And I was like, I kind of have a feeling what's going on. and he came in and he had an envelope in his shirt pocket. And he says, Kurt, you know, you got to have a talk with that mailman. He's really floppy in what he's doing. I was out in your driveway and I found a letter addressed to you, and, you know, he shouldn't be doing that. You need to really give that mailman some hell when you have a chance. And I said, Grandpa, you didn't have to do that. He goes, oh, hell, I don't know what you're talking about. And here I opened it up. That man went to the bank and got me $5,000 cash for my pain and suffering. Mm-hmm. And he sat by me. And he said, you know, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm starting to tear up talking about it. I'm going to tell you right now, I have 16 grandchildren. I love every one of them. But the day you were born, when you were born with cataracts, I felt you got dealt a bad hand. And I swore to myself that as long as I'm alive, I'm going to make sure you have every opportunity that your siblings have and that all 13 of your cousins have. And I'll be damned if that's ever going to change, is what he would tell me.
And, you know, here's the layup on that. And you've in your own way, whether you know it or not, I'll say it. You've done your part in paying that forward to so many people with your kindness and your ability to provide information to people.
My work.
And your work. Yeah, I mean, I will applaud you for that and give you your flowers, as the phrase goes, in that space. So kudos for sharing the story. We got to hit this break, my man. But thanks, Kurt, as always, for your contribution to the show. Make it a good weekend, okay?
Well, you too, and thank you, Richard. And hi, Karen.
All right, man. Have a good weekend.
Have a good day.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, wow. Great story. Great story. 773-763-9278. Guys, we will be right back.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Civic Tax Relief can help protect you from the IRS. Call Civic Tax Relief for free information now. Find out about the Fresh Start program that is now available through Civic Tax Relief. Civic Tax Relief's special tax hotline can help you discover all the relief programs available for free.
Just call 800-841-0908. 800-841-0908. 800-841-0908.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see mostly sunny skies here for today with a high in the upper 20s. Winds out of the southeast around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then for tonight, mostly cloudy with a low near 23. By Saturday, a chance for rain showers late, cloudy, high of 39 degrees. Sunday, chance for rain early, cloudy, high of 46. By Monday, a chance for rain showers, cloudy skies with a high around 53. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 10 above.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. Yeah, Kurt's grandpa, like so many grandpas of that era, great dudes, and I applaud him for sharing that story. And in the space of what he was talking about with medical and health and just the care system, I know Kurt was going to comment about our guest yesterday that spoke about mental health, Dr. Miranda. But I've got a couple of clips that I thought you guys should hear in the space of where we are with some of our social services and our services that we provide, or not, that we should continue to provide for citizens across the country. And two of them that I think just really resonate, what we've been talking about here on Choose Views, and certainly what's been part of the national conversation. And I want you guys to hear this. First one is from Congressman Frost. Not there? That's all right. Congressman Frost decided to go radio silent. So we'll get it to you guys.
Take the show on the road and show the American people what's going on. You have a president who lied to people and said he was going to fight for working class families, but yet he's amassed the richest cabinet in the history of our country. So you expect him to believe that someone like Elon Musk, who's worth over $340 billion, is going to be in charge of helping to decide what my mom's Social Security check is going to be? Mm-hmm. And so I think we really need to take this on the road to show people, and it's going to help us, of course, take the House back.
What caught my eye about that clip, the very simple words, take this on the road. Okay, so we want to encourage all of our elected members, from the mayor of the city that you're in to the county officials, if depending on how your state's laid out, to your state officials. You want to be one, you want to be a champion of taking it on the road. What do I mean by that? Two parts. The first part is, and again, I've had people throughout the course of this week ask me, what should I be doing? What can I be doing? And I've asked you guys back, what's your 2025 look like? But taking it on the road for yourself, I believe, can mean, who is it that's in your area that you need to be talking to on a regular basis? And I know not everybody can get involved with an organization for whatever reason, but I know that's the dynamic that you live in, and I respect that. But taking it on the road means, all right, in this fight, I'm going to do something every week to go or to approach or to call or to email one of my elected officials. Okay? It can mean something as simple as going on their website, signing up for signing up for their team to be a volunteer to work with them. It means taking action. I've said this before, that if you can take action, you don't have a problem. You have things that you can resolve by taking action. It comes from a business coach that I follow for a long time. Her name is Mel Robbins. If you can take action, you don't have a problem. So taking it on the road, as Congressman Frost says, is what they believe in the House that they need to do. And I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm looking forward to seeing on a daily basis, but minimally on a weekly basis, 5, 6, 8 House members, Democratic House members having a press conference, Henry. You, me, and the rest of us, once a week, we're holding a press conference about the garbage that's coming out of this Week A administration, and about the garbage that's coming from the right, and how we on the left, or we as progressive liberal Democrats, aren't going to tolerate it. Yeah, they have the numbers by a couple of votes, but here's what we're doing. They need to be doing that on a weekly basis. No more sitting back and waiting and being dictated to. They need to it's that, to me, that's taking it on the road. It doesn't literally mean going from state to state to state, but that's not off the table. They should be every week, guys. Like, Friday we do things that do in Chicago this weekend, every Friday. So here's the garbage that we've had to put up with this past 4 days. That should be every Friday. Call that press conference. Because, see, here's what's going to happen, Henry. Eric Grant said this a couple of years ago. He said, okay, so the Dems might be doing stuff, but why don't we know about it? Right? Why don't we know about it? And doing something may be something as simple, or some might say as meaningful as having a press conference every Friday. Here's the garbage. Because this is what's going to happen, Henry. And Eric's right on point about this. When the Dems do that sort of taking it on the road or taking it to them every week in some capacity, i.e. a press conference, the media is going to want to pick it up. Why? Because they're going to find out that there's things that the Republicans are not really doing. They need to do it every single week at a minimum. I don't know if they can do it every single day because of their scheduling and all that, but I know that every Friday they should. So there's 215 House members on the right. I mean, on the left right now. I think that's the number. It's going to be something like that, 215 to 220. So divide that by 4. What's the math on that? 50 something or other, 52, 54, something like that, 54. Divide that by 4. And every week, 4 weeks out of a month on a Friday, 50 House members should be at the mic. And if you can't get 50, then, get 10. But every Friday, here's the garbage we're dealing with, and call it that segment. Hell, they could create a podcast that they sit in every Friday, but they need to take that fight back message on the road. In my opinion, it's not. I don't think it's that difficult. It's about having a vision, having a mission, and then figuring out who are the players going to be, and all of our players means all of our players. Assembling those folks, and every single week, someone from the House of Representatives should be at the mic. And, I'm kind of calling on Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries to think creatively like that. And maybe they are. Again, this is one of those things where, I'm oftentimes one to say, and the folks that know me will back me up on this. I sometimes don't talk about things until the things are real. Okay? That's just, my personality. It may be good, bad, or indifferent. But I want to know it's real and say, okay, now we'll talk about it. And that's FYI. We've got some new things that are going to be happening next year here in CPT. I'm going to talk about them, but I'm not going to talk about them. Anyhow, this is where the Democratic leadership across the board, and even with state legislatures, can do the same thing. Start using media differently by taking it on the road, to use Congressman Frost's wording, and do that every week. I can assure you that there will be a change in how people are paying attention, because then that's going to bounce over to social media. If you do it on mainstream, it's going to bounce to social, and then it's going to continue to get put out there, shared, reposted, and all those other fancy words when it comes to social media. I know that will happen, And it'll also give people the feeling, or maybe not the feeling, but it'll give people some awareness that, guess what? The thing I've been asking Democrats to do, they're starting to do it now. And I tied this to something when I was making my notes about this. We played a clip yesterday, Henry, the one of the Dig Deeper, the woman who said about the voting numbers. Is that one handy? Yeah. Can you play that again real quick? Sorry to drop this on you, but I want to make a point with this.
Propaganda check. Okay, people can use data to propagandize populations. So always dig deeper. A few facts. Assuming these facts are correct. 245 million eligible voters is what we have in the United States. Almost 75 million voted for Harris, 77 million voted for Trump, 2.7 million voted third party. Okay? So that's how many voted. When you take that number away from the number of eligible voters, 90 million did not vote. Okay? What does that mean? Well, assuming these numbers are correct, 30% voted for Harris, 32% voted for Trump, 1% other, 37% did not vote. So that means 68% of eligible voters did not vote for Trump. So when you're walking around in the world, 7 in 10 people did not show up for him. So you're not in the minority, okay? Keep that in mind. Don't feel like, oh my gosh. Dig deeper.
So my extrapolation from that is, if we take half that number that did not vote, and as part of the strategy of taking it on the road, the Democrats were to look at that math and say, okay, so maybe the election was lost because of how people voted, but if we have more people that show up, we can squash that. That's where I'm going with this. That's why I wanted to kind of bring this back, and thanks, Henry, for having that clip handy. Because if the math is real, and like she said, dig deeper, but let's say that the math is 80% on point, and we cut that in half. That's 30 million, let's see, 80%, yeah. And we cut that then in half. That's 40 million voters, additional voters that didn't vote. Not that have voted, that did not vote. So we take that number and we own that. We own it by making sure that and that's, listen, here in local elections, that's applicable. Take that message on the road. Thank you, Congressman Frost, for that language. When I saw that clip, Henry, I thought, I want to build a conversation around that. We get to take our story on the road as well as individuals. So it's incumbent on us to do the same thing. But it's also, the second part of what I was going to say to this point is this is the opportunity to be contacting our elected officials, particularly on a federal level, if you're concerned about what's going to happen, and encourage them to take the message on the road, because there's people out there that want to hear it. So, all right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. We got another clip we're going to hit you with when we come back. 773-763-9278. Choose Views. We'll be right back.
It's that holiday time of year. Give the gift of hearing to you or a loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audien Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audienhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com. Hurry, don't miss Audien Hearing's Christmas sale live, now through December 15th.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
It's Choose Views with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Choose Views, guys. 773-763-9278. So listen, in that space around what Congressman Frost was talking about, he was talking about, someone like Elon Musk or Vivek Ramaswamy who got stupid money, taking away benefits from people who need them. And listen, not being biased here, but Elon Musk is the epitome of a person that migrated to this country and is taking advantage of the benefits that he now wants to take away from other people. He would not be where he is from a business standpoint were it not for the grants and other partitions that were created by our federal government and in many cases state. So he wants to thumb his nose up at California. You wouldn't have what you have if it weren't for what California provided for you in terms of the foundation. And it's one of the criticisms that I've had of people who have migrated to the United States from European countries that say to me, well, Richard, come on, guys, why does the black community always complaining about this and pull yourself up by your bootstraps and blah, 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 blah. And I say, when did you get here? When did your parents get here? And they'll answer. And then I'll say, well, my family's been here a little bit longer. So that building up of and your so-called greatness that you've attained, it's on the shoulders of other people, other immigrants in many cases. Frankly, I mean, that's the truth. Yeah, historical gets people kind of thrown off sometimes, Henry, because they don't want to acknowledge that there was somebody that came before you. You didn't land here you didn't start on third. You started on third base. You didn't start from home plate and make your way around. And so when I see this around Elon Musk and to what Congressman Frost was talking about, and frankly, Vivek Ramaswamy's parents, who he's openly admitted during an interview that his parents were here and not citizens before he was born. So we know what that's called, right? We know what that's called. So technically, if they want to take away birthright citizenship, I guess you got to go, dude. Take your money with you. Peter Thiel. Video popped up yesterday of him being asked a question around the dude that Maggioni, who shot and killed the United Healthcare CEO, that he's a fan of Thiel and Musk and a few others in this billionaire class. And boy, dude was sweating and not able to speak. He was sounding like a bumbling idiot trying to answer the questions around, do you think he'll come for you? Or do you think, not him, but do you think there'll be others that will come for you? And Peter Thiel's another person that has taken advantage of how our immigration has worked for his family, and then how benefits and support systems that the country have allowed him to ascend and do what he's done. So the point that the congressman is making is, hold on a second, guys. You benefited, either you as an immigrant or one generation before you, from the systems that are designed to support people in this country. And how dare you want to take them away? And in this conversation around health insurance and this conversation around what took place with this murder, ALC's got something to say about it as well. And we've got a really good clip of something that she spoke to this week when it comes to insurance for Americans.
Taken from a diagnosis. And I think that this collective American experience, which is so twisted to have in the wealthiest nation in the world, all of that pain that people have experienced is being concentrated on this event. And it's really important that we take a step back. This is not to comment, and this is not to say that an act of violence is justified. But I think for anyone who is confused or shocked or appalled, they need to understand that people interpret and feel and experience denied claims as an act of violence against them. People go homeless over the financial devastation of a diagnosis that doesn't get addressed, or, the amount that they're going to have to cover with a surprise bill and things like that. And when we kind of talk about how systems are violent in this country, in this passive way, our privatized healthcare system is like that for a huge amount of Americans. I mean, I did not have health insurance until I got elected.
Yeah, so the clip highlights what Congressman Frost is talking about in terms of benefits being taken away or not being appropriately managed by the carriers. But even if you can extract even if you can pull yourself away from the intensity of what that means to people and just broaden it out to the country in general, we have to do better in that space. If we want to call ourselves the biggest, baddest, greatest country on the planet, then we got to do a better job of making sure that something like medical care, is better handled and distributed to all Americans. We should be embarrassed as a country that a man would get assassinated because of, at its base, there could be some other mental issues going on with Mr. Mangione, and if that's the case, we recognize that. But in a bigger sense, as a country, we should be absolutely embarrassed that a person would get assassinated because of the decisions that his company made, that maybe he supported, or to whatever extent he endorsed them, et cetera, et cetera. But at its core, if Mangione's reasoning was because of our healthcare system and how it's presented to the general community, we got to fix that. And the fix is something that's not particularly difficult. It's just a question of as if the country has the will to make it happen. And the way in which Mangione went about it is not the answer or the solution. That's correct. That's reckless and chaotic. We don't need that, and certainly sure as hell don't want that. But I will tell you that when I saw that video of Peter Thiel being asked a question about, this guy and other people like him that are out there that follow folks like him, or Musk or Ramaswamy, and the list goes on. You could see he was freaked out and nervous. The dude was sweating in this interview. Now, I don't know if he had just come in from a run or something, but irrespective of that, the way in which he answered the question shows that he knows that this could be problematic. And so let's get off the old, let's keep repeating what we've been doing when it comes to medical care. And let's make a point, like Congressman Frost said, to take our message on the road to do a better job. We need to stop lying to ourselves in this space. It shouldn't take somebody getting assassinated. Now, listen, I'm not down with that happening. Don't get me wrong. Don't mishear me. I don't want anybody calling or writing saying Richard's okay with it. No, I'm not. Not at all. Not even as a form of retribution. I'm not. That's never cool, because then that's a slope that's not even. It's gasoline drawers. But that says the country, both left, right, and in the middle, and the right has been blocking this for years. The left has tried to do a better job of pushing the narrative. And the Affordable Care Act is a great example of us trying to do a better job in the healthcare conversation. But we as a society, I don't understand how a person that lives in a red district, red state in the country can sit back and honestly say that Republican policies when it comes to health care and medical care and treatment are better than those of progressive liberal Democrats. The data doesn't back that up. I can say it and it may sound anecdotal, but the data doesn't back it up. Historically, going back to FDR, we've consistently, from the left, tried to make that better and have gotten blocked along the way, every step of the way, for 70 to 80 years. Okay? And, when you listen to what AOC says, when you listen to what Congressman Frost says, we have to be willing to slow down and go, what's wrong with these systems that we have for medical care? How many people are dying because of this was it 38%, 39% sort of automated denial? That's a lot of people, y'all. So we got to slow down the universe to look at this, and not the hyperbolic part of him assassinating the CEO, but look at what, right or wrong, may have been part of his motivation. And if we don't do that, we talk about what's happening right now, and let me marry these two together, because this is what I wanted to stay on point with my notes. I think that there's going to be other scenarios like this. I don't hate to say it. My sister said once to me, if you hate to say it, then don't. I'm cautious in how I say this. This scenario that took place, I don't think it's going to be the last. And it troubles me that that's where we are. And I also don't think it's the merging I'm making is I don't think it's going to be the last or the only as it relates to elected officials. And I'm serious about that. So I hope that folks are not falling asleep at the wheel on that topic about people are fed up. And when people are fed up, they take matters into their own hands. Folks can only take so much. And that's a sad thing to say. But it's a reality that we've got to lean into. So Congressman Frost taking this on the road is a good thing. What AOC is even more powerful. But here's the other thing that I have to say this morning. It's time for a break. All right, guys, 773-763-9278. When we come back, I don't know, I might be talking to somebody that's got red hair and a wonderful smile and a great bit of information. 773-763-9278. We'll be right back.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for about $10 a month with no annual contract? It's possible with Whole Home Connect, your internet superstore. The internet's grown up over the years. There used to be maybe one provider. Now you have multiple choices that you may not even be aware of. Whole Home Connect can help you. With one phone call, they will show you the best internet deals available in your neighborhood. And yes, we have deals as low as $10 a month, with no annual contracts. Whole Home Connect is your one-stop discount store for all your internet needs. It's time to upgrade your internet plan and save money. Call right now for a free quote and to learn about internet plans starting at $10 a month with no contracts.
Call now, 800-257-5168. 800-257-5168. Call right now, 800-257-5168. Again, that's 800-257-5168.
Power up the holiday and give a gift from the top of their wish list. Visit your local Steel dealer or shop online at steelusa.com.
AP News, I'm Jackie Quinn. The U.S. Senate expects to pass a bill next week to expand Social Security benefits for millions of Americans. Here's our Norman Hall.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says it would eliminate policies that currently limit Social Security payouts for roughly 2.8 million people.
This is a chance for senators to do the right thing for our teachers and nurses and postal workers and law enforcement officers and firefighters.
And surviving spouses of Social Security recipients who receive a government pension of their own. The legislation passed the House on a bipartisan vote. Norman Hall, Washington.
A barrage of missiles and drones have struck Ukraine. Officials there say Russia's trying to cripple Ukraine's energy sources. Secretary of State Antony Blinken meeting with Turkish officials over the government overthrow in Syria. He says an Israeli-Hamas ceasefire is also on the agenda.
We talked about the imperative of Hamas saying yes to the agreement that's possible to finally help bring this to an end.
The U.S. Olympic and Paralympic committees placed an employee on administrative leave following an AP investigation into a sexual abuse allegation that led to an athlete's suicide. Here's our Jennifer King.
U.S. committee officials sent an email to the team to commend those who came forward with concerning allegations. Grace Buteau told the AP that coach Gary Coliander began touching her inappropriately when she was 15. After the report, other biathletes reached out to the AP to say that kind of abuse has been prevalent for years and complaints were ignored by biathlon officials.
3 men have sued Sean Diddy Combs in New York, claiming the hip-hop mogul drugged and raped them. It's snowy in upstate New York after a lake-effect storm, and an Arctic air mass is gripping much of the central U.S. This is AP News. New complaints about mysterious drones flying in New Jersey.
As the number of drone sightings goes up, Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal says the Biden administration should take aggressive action against them.
Shot down if necessary.
New Jersey's Cory Booker says his constituents are worried.
We should know what's going on over our skies.
Neither local, state, nor federal agencies have actually corroborated any reported sightings. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Tomorrow marks 12 years since the deadly Sandy Hook school shooting that robbed Connecticut of 26 lives. Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro paid tribute.
It was senseless, devastating act of violence. 26 precious, irreplaceable young souls were taken from their families.
Gun control groups are using the tragedy to cite the need for stricter gun control. I'm Jackie Quinn, AP News.
This is 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see mostly sunny skies here for today with a high in the upper 20s. Winds out of the southeast around 5 to 10 miles per hour. And for tonight, mostly cloudy with a low near 23. By Saturday, a chance for rain showers late, cloudy, high of 39 degrees. Sunday, chance for rain early, cloudy, high of 46. By Monday, a chance for rain showers, cloudy skies with a high around 53. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 10 above.
This is a WCPT Better in a Minute. After working several odd jobs in New York City, Henry Johnson found his way into the National Guard during World War I. Johnson was assigned to the 369th Infantry Regiment, but the all-black unit was better known as the Harlem Hellfighters. The Hellfighters' first task was assisting the French Fourth Army. On May 15, 1918, Hellfighter Johnson noticed Germans attempting to break in. Johnson retreated to get backup from the French troops, noticing German soldiers were attempting to kidnap another Hellfighter. Despite standing at only 5'4", Johnson sprung into action. With only 3 bullets and a bolo knife, Johnson was able to kill 4 enemy soldiers and wounded 21 others, causing them to retreat, saving himself and his men. However, Johnson received a total of 21 injuries all over his body, including his left foot being shattered. Johnson was discharged, and his papers did not show his heroism or his injury, leaving him unable to receive any disability compensation, leaving Johnson penniless at the time of his death at age 36. Johnson's heroism went unnoticed for decades until President Barack Obama awarded him the Medal of Honor in 2015.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chu on WCPT 820 AM, where facts matter. Take it away, Richard.
Hey, guys. Welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. It is Friday morning. We're in Chicago. It's cold as hell out right now. And make sure you got your body covered and you're safe. And please, please, please don't be stupid out there today. Enjoy the sunshine that's going to break through the clouds, but do not take this lightly because it's cold and I want you guys to be safe. So, every now and again, some folks will land their plane outside of WCPT and then they decide to knock on the door and ring the bell and say, "Let me in."
Cold out here.
And it's cold. It's cold out here. So we have our good friend Karen Byrne from TruBlu Politics in studio with us this morning. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
How
Thanks for having me back in.
You're welcome. If you guys are paying attention, you see that she's got reindeer ears on her head. Mm-hmm. And she said, "Will this be a distraction?" I was like, "No, I don't think so. I might tease you about it, but it's not going to be a distraction."
Okay. It's all good.
So what's going on?
Well, it is cold outside.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I was walking down the street day before yesterday and got to the corner. And, you can... I'm from Chicago, know Chicago very well, know the winters here.
Yeah. And
got to the end of the block or end of the street and, how our buildings are downtown or anywhere in the area, but certainly downtown. The hawk, the story that for years, those of you who are here, that those of you who are not, we'll share it with you. The hawk sort of swoops in and can get you. The hawk being the cold weather of Chicago. And I was watching, Karen, all the people who were standing at the edge of the block.
Yeah.
And the wind was just kicking their butts.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm standing back, still shielded by the building.
Yeah, because you know how to. Right? Absolutely.
And I went, wow. And it was one of those things where instinct and history just took over. It's like, don't walk to the curb.
No.
Stay back.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Come on. You got to know. You need to know how to work with the wind in this city.
You have to.
You have to.
You got to know where to stand and not stand.
That's right.
And you don't just walk off of. You don't just walk out of a building.
Mm-hmm.
Push the door open and walk right into it.
No, you don't.
And you wait.
Yes, you do.
You just pause a little bit and go, okay, now I'm going.
Survival of the fittest. And that's what that is.
And that's where we are. Oh my God. Yes, it's cold out, but as Karen and I have said over a number of shows and a number of conversations, one of our biggest challenges has been how the mainstream media has not done the job that we would think that they would do or should do. Mm-hmm. So that being said, as I've been advocating for a long time, but certainly since the election, that now's the time for us to take kind of a page, and I love what Congressman Frost had to say, for us to take a page out of that book and say, you know what, with all the social media that's out there, all the podcasts that are out there, all the things that are not singularly part of mainstream media,
right?
We have to leverage that now. It's a huge opportunity for folks to lean in. I've heard so many people, and we've heard the reports of the numbers going down. We know that the Joe and Mika fiasco was a self-inflicted wound, unforced error, as we say. Used to say in tennis, or still say in tennis, of their own making, and driven out of their arrogance and privilege. We know that we could beat that to death. But I'm like, all right, so what are we going to do about it? And I think what we have to do about it is have the community that's going to allow us to talk about the things that are important to us, and then put that back out there. That's why I said what Congressman Frost says about taking the message on the road. We get to do that every single day. We get to take the message on the road with the people that we're talking with. And I love that phrase, and I'm probably going to burn it to use it a lot, because it is what we not only can be doing, but we should be doing. Karen, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, of course, it was over a year ago that Anita and I decided to start our podcast, because we wanted to add to the voices because of that fact that our mainstream media was really doing a piss poor job of covering things and reporting on things and reporting the good news and talking and sounding the warning about Project 2025, because that was out there even back then. And the mainstream media wasn't talking about it. Even our elected officials were not yet talking about it.
Right.
And you and I have talked about this. It was Taraji P. Henson that finally broke that seal. And then all of a sudden people are like, hey, wait, what's this? And my family was like, you've been talking about this for months. So so in our conversations, we were able to get that word out there, so that maybe then other people in their personal everyday conversations could say, hey, have you heard about this thing? And point people in the right direction, so that we could learn about it. But, without the mainstream media on board, I don't think that we sounded the alarm soon enough.
Or loudly enough. And repeatedly enough. So that's just one category, but it's a big A category.
Sure, and that's the most recent. They've been dropping the ball forever. I mean, and the narratives that they paint about the Republican Party, because, you played that clip of that panel of Republicans and Kevin McCarthy being called out. Kevin McCarthy, he came right out and said, Donald Trump is responsible for this violence, for this day. And then he went down there and he kissed the ring. Mitch McConnell stood up there and said he knew that Donald Trump was guilty, but they weren't going to do anything about it.
Yep.
Okay, and so they have, this is it. It didn't, and I've said this, I say this all the time. It did not start with Trump. It's not going to end with Trump. This is a Republican Party problem, and the media's complicity and their role in putting their narrative out there that they were better on the economy, they're more fiscally responsible, that they are, the party of family values, that they're the, Christian values, and on and on and on, pro-life. It's a lie.
Yeah.
They are a lie. It is a full-on death cult, and they could. Let's go back to 2008, right, when President Obama came on, and those MFers ran around saying that they didn't have. ACA was passed in the dead of night, and we didn't have any say. They had 108 changes. Yep. That they put in, and the fact that we had everything crashing down around us, and what did they decide to do? They decide, like the little slime balls that they are, go into a little closed door meeting and talk about how they were going to make Barack Obama one-term president and obstruct everything he needed to do to our peril.
Yeah. And here's the thing about that, and we rewind and go back to that. People forget about it because, and this is why I was saying earlier, why it's incumbent that we on us that we keep reminding people, and part of our go forward message is, here are the things that they haven't done, and here are the things that they're still trying to do, and none of it is about providing more to the American, quote unquote, the American people. Right. None of it is about providing more. It's about taking away stuff.
That's right.
And if there is a couple of labels that we could put on the two different parties. The Republican Party is about they're takers, and the Democratic Party are givers or providers. And that at its core is one of the reasons why I'm so disappointed, if you will, in people who live in communities where they don't stop and see that party is trying to take away. If they're going to take away from this quote unquote, immigrant group of people, they're going to take away from you too, inevitably. That's right. And if you have any loose awareness of how economies work, that if you take away certain Karen's left.
Go ahead.
If you take away things from people, then inevitably they don't have things that they need to sustain themselves.
That's right.
That means that you're gonna absorb a bigger burden, and that's why I'm laughing at people who say, "Well, we don't want the immigrants here from wherever because they're taking away stuff." No, they're not. They're not. They're providing. They're giving. They're giving. And a good example. I played this clip a couple of weeks ago from this gentleman who's being interviewed by Martha Raddatz, and he's a farmer that talked about how hard it's going to be. People just don't realize, you take away these folks that are doing this quote-unquote farm work, the pain that it's going to cause. And she said, well, what about paying people more that aren't immigrant or are color, that are working and doing all these agrarian things? And he's like, it's not going to matter because people that look like me don't want to do this work.
That's right.
So they're by taking away, by Tom Homan bringing his punk behind into Chicago, saying,
come on, bring it.
Please come to Chicago.
Bring it.
Please invite me to your next. Please invite me to your next meeting.
You're going to meet some Chicago.
Yeah, really. Don't go to some area where you're going to be cushy. Go to an area where the real folks are that are going to be impacted by it.
That's right.
And you notice that. Like, he went to an area where the people in that community aren't really going to be impacted by what they're going to try to do with ICE. But anyhow, the Republicans, takers, Democrats, givers or providers. There's a clip that I want you guys to hear. Let's go to break first and then come back. Guys, we're going to take a quick break. We've got Karen Byrne from TruBlu Politics Podcast here with me in the studio, 773-763-9278. We'll be right back.
This is an important announcement for anyone who wants health insurance, even if you missed the deadline. Right now, you can get the health insurance you and your family need from top insurance providers, even if you have pre-existing conditions or no insurance at all. The Plus Benefits Health Insurance toll-free number has been extended to help anyone who wants health insurance coverage now, or if you need a better plan or a lower price. Call Plus Benefits Health Insurance now at 800-378-1388. The call is 100% free and the help is real. Call 800-378-1388. That's 800-378-1388.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
You're listening to Choose View with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose View, 773-763-9278. Catch us on Facebook Live, Twitter Stream, TuneIn Radio, YouTube. We're all over the place, and we want to bring you the good stuff. So I was talking about a clip before we went to this break, and it's a clip that came out right before the election that MSNBC, once again, our mainstream media dropping the ball. But let's go to that Biden versus Trump.
Let's put this in a little historical perspective, and we're going to compare the U.S. to the other major economies of the world. And you go back to 1980, you can see the growth rates weren't all that different. But around the 2000 period, we just took off. And we left them in the dust. We've continued to leave them in the dust. And in fact, the IMF last week came out with new projections that show that our growth is going to accelerate even more relative to these other countries. And let me also, though, since we are going to have an election next week, do a scorecard here on the last two presidents. Donald Trump thinks this economy is in the toilet. In fact, under Joe Biden, it grew faster than it did under Donald Trump. 3.1% average GDP growth under Biden. 2.8% under Trump, and this corrects for all the COVID things. These are straight down the middle of the fairway numbers. And then you can see that growth, in fact, has turned into a much stronger economic performance for average Americans. GDP per capita is a way to think about standard of living. Not perfect measure, but it's directionally right. You can see that we generate $74,000 of GDP per person, and that has doubled over this period of time. And then you can, and no other country has come close to that, 54,000, 46,000. And so from 1983 to 2023, we doubled this. And we are, again, as you said earlier, the envy of the world when it comes to the standard of living that Americans have.
Okay. You heard him say we're going to have an election in a week. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we know that was, shortly around Halloween that this was on MSNBC. But my point about this as it relates to the mainstream media, and this is where they failed the country. That data wasn't collected the night before he went on the air, Henry. That's right. That data, he didn't get a message from the C-suite and go, here's this new data. Mm-mm. And from an economic standpoint, from a financial standpoint and data gathering standpoint, I know that. Yep. When I'm doing what I do, that you've got to build it. So my point is, how come even MSNBC wasn't presenting that kind of cogent data, easy for people to comprehend? Yeah. 2 months before, 4 months before, 6 months before, after the State of the Union back in was it February? Mm-hmm. Why weren't they? Because that data didn't just even if that was conclusive to the moment before he went on the air. Mm-hmm. The continuum of the information was there 2, 4, 6 months before. That's right. And that's a failure of the mainstream media, and I'm including MSNBC in that conversation.
Yep. Yeah, well, that was Steve Ratner, if I'm not mistaken. Well, Steve Ratner was also predicting a recession.
I know.
Okay. And he was months before, and when he could have been putting out that data.
That's right. That's right. So now let's be honest, or honest isn't the right word. We're always going to be honest, but being somewhat fair. We know that it isn't just him that's that didn't present the data points. It's the structure inside of mainstream media. Right. And so the C-suite, as I often refer to it, is dictating and has been dictating that. But the problem is they're now suffering in terms of their ratings because they didn't do this months ago, if not years ago. The information was there. Right. They just chose to go in a direction that was now going to be problematic. And CNN, same thing. The data was available. That's not something that he had sitting in his office only. Right.
Well, and if they had been listening to their audience, after the debate with Biden, if they had been listening to their audience, they would have known that all of us out there was like, we weren't, that was a crazy moment, but he came right back out. And in the days following, he was laying out, foreign policy. He was, we know who Joe Biden is. Okay. Yep. We know he's not like the great orator.
I don't need my president to be that.
I want to know that he is competent and what he had already pulled us through and that they refused to report on, reporting the good news about it. We all knew that. And so when they were piling on and beating, that was the first exodus for a lot of their viewers, including myself. Yep. Because I had it.
Me too.
I was furious with that because I thought to myself, you MFers are out there. You did not give him his dues. All of these years, you have not been giving him his dues. And now you want to pile on because, he had a bad debate performance.
Right. And to that end, you haven't had a bad performance on your shows.
Yes.
I mean, and we don't have to do the whataboutisms and the what-isms and all that. The fact of the matter is, in this space, and the reason I wanted you guys to hear this clip, the clip wasn't so much about the content of the economy and the work that President Biden has done. The clip was really more about the timing of it being presented.
Correct.
Because they were glowing. He was glowing and talking about how well we're doing. Mm-hmm. And the historical data was available to all of them, has been available to all of them. All right. I have to say this way in terms of pivoting in our go forward. We know the mainstream media right now is trash.
Mm-hmm.
The big three, the big five, the big seven, they are. And we know they've been compromised because of the way in which our FCC guidelines have changed to allow monopolies to exist in terms of our media. We get that. So I'm asking everybody to look at yourself in the mirror and say, what am I going to do? Two things. What can I do? What am I going to do? And maybe the third thing is, how am I going to go about it? And who am I going to be partnering with? I think that the more that folks are willing to do that and come up with a plan about messaging,
yes,
and going back to what we said earlier with regard to Congressman Frost, taking it on the road, the more that's happening, the better. And it's one thing for us to sit back and whine and bemoan the mainstream media, which we do need to call them out.
Right.
I think at the same time, we have to take a little bit of control now. And we have to be the ones that are championing our own message by using the tools that are available to us, whether it be what CPT is doing, whether it be what Sirius is doing, whether it be any of the podcasts across the board. We have to be of that mindset. And it's just, there's no two ways around it, in my humble opinion.
Right. And I think, we do have some amazing YouTubers. We do have some amazing networks, Midas Touch Network. Stephanie Miller, her Sexy Liberal network as well, has a number of excellent podcasters, so like Bob Seska, oh my gosh,
Kimberly Johnson,
Hal Sparks, Cliff Schechter. So we have a really good crew of people that are out there talking and messaging and just preparing people, arming them with the information so that when they go out and they have their own personal conversations, they can be based off of facts.
And when you look at and here's the thing, guys, when you look at the when you look at the numbers of people that are ramping up their communication on social media, I can go back to the convention, and I was there every day, and the different places that I happened to make my way to, both at the McCormick Place and at the United Center. There are a lot of voices and faces and names that are raising their visibility. So this is that time, guys. This is that time where we get to take it on the road every single day and communicate a message to people that is going to be one that's repeatable, that's shareable, and we're not waiting for mainstream media to present us with X, Y, and Z.
That's right.
Because the other thing that bore itself out during the last 6 months, particularly, is the incompetence of a lot of the people that we've sort of given favor to when it comes to mainstream media. And just look at even some of the folks on what we would call, our favored networks. Andrea Mitchell needs to be gone, not because of her age chronologically, but because she's not good at what she does.
That's right.
Katie Tur needs to be gone, not because of anything other than she's not good at what she does.
Right.
And the list goes on.
Right.
And there's other people on other networks so my point is, rather than waiting for them to be gone, let's just do our thing. Let's just take our own show on the road. Let's make sure we're repeating the things that people need to hear.
Yeah.
Hold on. Are we good, Henry? I noticed that we have a. Does he want to join in on the conversation? Let's go ahead and bring on our good friend Kurt Mullet from Who's Your Blue 63. I looked down. I was like, "Hey, wait a minute!
Is he still on the board?
What's going on, man? Welcome."
Hey, sorry to interrupt here. I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in. And Karen, it's nice to finally get to verbally meet you. So I've listened to you quite a bit. So.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Yeah. So, one of the things I'm getting involved in our local politics here. I'm running for chair of Wabash County Democratic Party. And so I've been doing a lot of research on things that I can do to improve our communication with our community, because we are in a county that is considered a news desert, okay? Mm-hmm. And I ran across an article from, I think it was Northwestern Media. This last election, Trump won 91% of the news desert counties in our country. That's where we lost the election, because people in this country are relying on mainstream media and then other forms, podcasts, TikTok, and what have you. And I'm finding out, the more I do research, how bad of a job Democrats do at communicating on a local level and educating people on a local level. And that, to me, is where this election was lost, because we know as Democratic liberals that the mainstream media does not favor us at all.
Exactly.
So, but I wanted to throw that in. I'll send Richard the link to the article, and you can pass it on. But I wanted to throw that in. And
great. I
didn't mean to cut in on your time.
No, Karen was like, "Wow, okay, cool." So no, I mean it's good to have you join in the conversation, because you always bring content that people can grab and can review. That's why. And again, let me just give a plug, a very good plug to Kurt Mullet of Hoosier Blue 63. That's why y'all got to follow him. I don't care where you are on the planet. If you look at some of the things that he posts, the content is on point, and it's cogent. It's easy to take in and digest, and then to share with other folks. So that's why you guys need to follow not only Karen on her podcast, which is TruBlu Politics Podcast, but also my man Kurt Mullet at Hoosier Blue 63. So good work, Kurt, as always.
Oh, Richard, you're too kind, okay? But I appreciate that. But you're way too kind, man. You do so much, and you give us this avenue to be able to speak. So I appreciate it, buddy. You know how much I appreciate you, but
hey,
come on.
No, man.
You're the man.
Well, listen,
you're the man.
You can't be the man or the woman without people around you that keep you focused and
I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, hey, man,
we have to dig deeper. We have to find out what's going on, and this is just one of those things. So, hey,
send me that article, okay?
Have a great day to both of you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
All right, man. Have a great weekend.
Holidays.
Nice talking to you.
Yes.
Yeah, Kurt's the truth. He truly is, and I'm going to keep pushing and advocating for him and for Karen, because they're doing the work, guys, and that's what I'm talking about. We have to do that work. So we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to grab a couple of quick calls. The number is 773-763-9278. We'll be right back.
The worst thing about political jokes is that they keep getting reelected.
The Capitol Fools are getting out of Washington, D.C. and coming to see you. Don't miss your chance to find out what rhymes with the day's news when Washington's premier comedy group, the Capitol Fools, come to the North Shore Center in Skokie, Saturday and Sunday, February 1st and 2nd. Tickets at northshorecenter.org or ticketmaster.com.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see mostly sunny skies here for today with a high in the upper 20s. Winds out of the southeast around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then for tonight, mostly cloudy with a low near 23. By Saturday, a chance for rain showers late, cloudy, high of 39 degrees. Sunday, chance for rain early, cloudy, high of 46. By Monday, a chance for rain showers, cloudy skies with a high around 53. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 10 above.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
It's Choose View with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose Views. Yeah, quite a morning. We've got Karen Byrne from TruBlu Politics sitting in with us this morning, and we just had our man Kurt Mullet give us a holler. So that's always a good thing when we can put the team together, because the team is getting bigger and stronger, guys. Let's go, Henry, to a couple of quick calls. Let's go to Brad in Elk Grove Village. Out in the village, what's going on, my man? How are you this morning?
Oh, it's a lot redder out here than I care for. But my point is this. People are going to realize, as all dictators are, there are no jokes. They are humorless because they are completely serious. When the people who voted for Donald Trump realize that they are going to be impacted, and not just on health insurance, he's going to go after Social Security, he's going to go after Medicaid. All of this to cut, because at the core of a lot of capitalists, high-level capitalists like Mr. Peter Thiel, they believe a human being's only worth is their work potential and profit-making potential for them. That's the value of the human life. Everything else, and when a lot of people, we'll get rid of the immigrants, guess what happens? What's the price of your vegetables?
Yeah.
What about your roads? What about everything? But my point is this. When it happens to them, they're going to be the worst zealots for us, because they'll be the newest converts.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be, I've studied dictators for 50 years, since I was a sophomore in high school. That's what Trump is.
Yeah.
And the point is, the people are going to find out. And when they do find out,
well, that's going to be that's going to be the real test, Brad. And thank you for the call this morning. We're going to get to a couple other calls. Brad's point is spot on, but the find out part of this is going to be the real challenge. And Eric Grant and I talked about this recently, and it's going to be how many people are going to give up their bracelet of solidarity when they get pressed.
Right.
How many people are going to say, damn, I did make a mistake and I need to do something about it? And that to me will be that litmus test.
Well, and when you're talking about too the media and the information that's getting out there, these people are susceptible to propaganda. So when the worm turns and they start losing some stuff or whatever, are they going to recognize it as Donald Trump and the Republican Party's doing? Because they're so good at saying up is down and down is up.
Yeah.
And they're rubes, these people that just, vote against their own best interest, believe them.
Here's one of the first things that I bet's going to come out of Trump's mouth when he takes off the office, and he's going to say, yeah, we got to clean up all these things that Biden screwed up and messed up. And the changes that you're about to see are because Joe Biden and the Republican Party and that woman Kamala Harris screwed up so many things, and so they're going to seed it that way so that all the great that is happening right now, then they'll say, see, look what we just did when we. Because of all these problems over here, look what we just did, which is the train is already moving.
Yes.
To give you guys a visual, the train's already moving, running along, great. And they're going to blame the problems.
Yes.
They're going to come in and say, we have all these problems, but in a short time, we're going to fix them. 90 days, you're going to fix them. And then take credit for already a smooth moving train.
Exactly.
And that's going to come out of their mouths right out of the jump. I promise you that. Let's go to Earl real quickly in Hyde Park. Earl, good morning and welcome to Choose Views.
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Good.
And I wanted to do a little quick correction. I listen to Joe Scarborough, too, and Steve Radler's been on the program all year long, touting how well the economy was with his little charts and stuff. So I agree with you. The mainstream media does not do a good job on touting how well the Democrats do. You are 100% correct about that. But I just want to caution you about your criticism about Steve. He has been on Joe Scarborough's program with charts and graphs and stuff for the whole year, touting America against the rest of the countries. But he wasn't. His megaphone was not large enough. We just don't have the infrastructure that the right-wing media does. Right. And until we do have that, we will just keep losing on the arguments because the people that listen to the right-wing talking sphere, they believe all this garbage, and they don't hear anything contrary. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Wonderful program. Thank you for taking me.
Thanks, Earl. Have a good day.
Yeah, what I was speaking about was this past year.
Well, and that's why I said 2, 4, 6 months going.
Right.
And Earl is right. Steve's been doing this for a minute. The point isn't that Steve wasn't doing it. And let me go back and clean up on aisle 7 in case anybody misunderstood me. It wasn't that Steve that wasn't doing it. It didn't have the access to the information. I'm saying why, and he used Earl used the right word in terms of megaphone. Why wasn't that the megaphone, the dominant megaphone conversation all year long? Candidly, why wasn't Andrea Mitchell? Why wasn't Nicole Wallace? Why wasn't Katie Turner? Why weren't all of the daytime folks speaking? Because it's right there. They can go, yo, Steve, can I use your information on my show this afternoon? So that's the failure. Earl, great point, and I appreciate you bringing that to the table. That's the failure. They didn't, and you mean to tell me that if MSNBC had each of their people or every one of their every other show during the course of the day, not just Joe and Mika, because talking about what Steve was presenting through the course of the year, you mean to tell me that the other networks and other media outlets wouldn't have picked up on that?
Right. And Nicole Wallace, and I mean, I hate to keep coming back to Project 2025, but she called it American autocracy. Name it. They should have been naming it. Every single... I would have called it, they're coming to steal your stuff. Yeah.
I mean, how many times, Karen, did I say, Peter laugh, they're coming to steal your stuff? That's it. How many times did I say, and it's not about me, but it's just in terms of how we get this out here and as we go forward, did I say the difference between where Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are versus Donald Trump is that Donald Trump is a dude that's going to come in your house and wreck your house and take your stuff.
We already saw it. Isn't it?
I know. See,
and this is the thing. It's like, this is the same man that talks about, he rides in on Obama's economy and he takes credit for that. He tanks that economy. It brings us a global pandemic, I would argue, because had he used the tools that, to be fair, President Bush enacted during H1N1 and then President Obama strengthened for Ebola, we would not have had a global pandemic.
No.
We wouldn't.
And the key word is a global pandemic, because as America goes, the world goes in many cases, particularly when it comes to something that's going to impact people outside of the borders of the United States of America.
Right.
So let's see. We're going to try to, can we get Leo on? Yeah, let's get Leo on real quickly from South Carolina. Hey, good morning, Leo. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. I apologize for any noise. I'm working.
Okay.
But I wanted to say, I'm kind of piggybacking on what other people are saying. What can the Democrats do different? First off, Mr. Chu, I need to ask you to do what you can to get on free speech TV. Every time, you know where I'm at. I'm down here in the an information desert myself. And anytime I get the opportunity, I push you, Stephanie Miller, Tom Hartman, Free Speech TV. When I'm in schools and kids are talking about, their aspirations, I push them towards, progressive outlets. But another thing I wanted to mention, Democrats, South Carolina had, I don't remember if it was 4 or 6 uncontested seats. So like we've got to we've got to run. I know it's here, but we got to run in the South. And again, you know my name, you know what I do. We need more good people in conservative fields. I'm in law enforcement. The job changed recently, and I'm in a place where they like pushing people out. It's hyper masculine in this field, but you know you can make it. But and I think this is the lesson Democrats have to make. You have to stand your ground.
Yeah,
I've had to have fights with my superiors. I have no reason to put in, so I'm not going to do it. Like the common saying in my field is ask, tell, and make. And that's the most BS approach to dealing with your own people, your citizens. Like, again, it's the whole where hammers your nails mentality. And they have pushed out good people because, and I mean, I'm witnessing it.
Yeah.
We're pushing out good people because they're telling them you're not willing and to push this just to law enforcement. But Democrats, you don't have to become
Republicans.
The hyper masculine. Well, I mean, not just Republicans, but like this hyper masculine. You know, it's more of a man to just stand up than to be so aggressive.
Yeah, they don't. And Democrats don't have to. And Leo, that's a point that sometimes people miss. So I appreciate you making it. We don't have to become like them on any front, whether it be our political ideology, whether it be our ideas, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And in particular, in something like law enforcement, which you're a professional in, we don't have to be that way. We need to be advocating care and review and understanding and minimal engagement. To your point, I know what you were saying about some of your leadership down there wants you to put hands on people, and your mindset is, no, I don't need to do that to get the job done. So I hear you loud and clear, and that is our concept of plans should be, here's what we stand for, and make that loud and proud. If there's anything, to your point, that I'm going to extrapolate, is that we have to remember to let people know this is what we stand for.
That's right.
And then get behind it. And that's on any front, Leo. So
on every front, absolutely.
Listen,
and,
man.
You know, don't back down.
Don't back down.
Yeah.
Be safe, man. We know that you're doing the good work out there. Always good to hear from you. Stay safe and have a good weekend, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks for being with us. We're going to go to a quick break. 773-763-9278. We'll be right back.
You know.
Adopt, don't shop. This is Dr. Craig from Mark Drugs. We're proud to support WCPT's Pet of the Month, benefiting the Anti-Cruelty Society. Adopt, don't shop is the movement that promotes animal rescue over pet stores. Illinois has wisely outlawed pet stores, but many of those operators merely moved over the border to Indiana or Wisconsin. Their dogs largely come from inhumane puppy mills and live shorter lives with a myriad of health problems caused by overbreeding. I have several canine patients that are on an extensive regimen of medicines simply to extend their lives. I believe every dog deserves a loving home, proper nutrition, and a chance at a long, healthy life. In my experience, rescued mixed breed dogs are the healthiest of all. So stop by the Anti-Cruelty Society location in the city or log on to their website to find your potential next family member. Or check out markdrugs.com to see this month's Pet of the Month. Remember, you have a choice when it comes to your health care, and a great choice is Mark Drugs in Deerfield and Roselle. Get better health and care for you and your pets.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose Views. Let's grab one quick call before we wrap up the show. Let's go to Howard in Los Angeles. Hey Howard, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Oh, good morning. Thank you for taking my call and expect it so quickly. What I want to say is that when the Democrats move, they act like they're scared of the people. You got to go. You got to take it. You got to take it to the streets. They should be walking around the supermarkets and the gas stations with clipboards and stuff, talking to people on the spot. They'll work because they see where prices going up on gas and food and stuff. That's what they do. That's like they're scared of people. And people are really pissed off. They're hurting. Their people are hurting. I'm surprised there aren't any riots right now.
I've heard.
Already seen y'all.
No, Howard, I appreciate that. I've heard a number of people say that the Democrats should have been more in the faces day to day of everyday Americans, and I don't disagree with that. But I will say at the same time that when we come back to messaging. The message has to be now as we go forward. We can always do the after action report. The message has to be going forward. To your point, we've got to be making sure on a day-to-day basis, locally, we're touching people. Now, I mean that literally, but locally, we're reaching out and getting in the faces. I like your phrase better, Howard, of people and letting them know that we care. And here's what we want to know what your concerns are, and here's what we can have as plans to get those things done. But part of that, too, though, Howard, is folks have got to take a little bit of personal responsibility and be engaged. It's a marriage of the two. It's not one being more important than the other. But I'll take the responsibility of saying we have to go to the people more and be in their faces. And again, I love the way you position that, Howard. So thank you, as always, for your contributions to the show, man. We appreciate your help.
Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome, Howard. Have a great day today. Send us some sunshine.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, man. Bye now. Calling from Los Angeles this early in the morning.
You talk about the engagement. I mean, I think you're right. People need to also seek out the information as well. They need to do a little bit of their own work on that front. And, because I heard President Biden, I've heard Democrats, up and down, the ballots or to speak to the high food cost and explain what that is all about. And, and I don't know if people weren't paying attention when they tried to pass a bill that would address price gouging.
Right. But that's unfortunately, this is the careful steps that we have to take to not sound like we're pointing fingers at people because they didn't get the message. But at the same time, we do have to encourage people to go, okay, something doesn't make sense here, and to do a little bit of research and to listen to things that, if it doesn't make sense.
Right.
I mean, how does President Biden or Vice President Harris sit in their little, magical rooms and dial up or dial down the price of gas or dial up or dial down the price of eggs? That's not how it works.
No.
And to a great extent, this is one of the things, and I want to kind of pivot a little bit. This is one of the things that, as I sit back and go, if I were advising, here's what I would suggest, because I don't want to say this is what y'all should have done. I want to say if I were advising, here's what I would have been doing, and now I'm saying this as we go forward.
Right.
This next cycle, local, regional, national, we have to be pushing our leaders to state things publicly on a regular basis.
Yep.
And that's why I said earlier, after talking, playing Congressman Frost about taking it on the road, doggone it, if I'm advising Leader Jeffries or Schumer or any of the Democratic leaders across the country, take the time every week to have that version of FDR's fireside chats.
That's right.
We don't care that we're not in the leadership roles in terms of the three chambers, or the two chambers and the administration, but use the tools. Do what FDR did.
Create viral moments. We're in a online...
play the video. Okay, so when the Republicans act a damn fool, have that clip,
right,
and then hold a press conference.
Yes,
and say, look at what these fools are doing.
Yeah,
I mean, seriously,
because people aren't turning C-SPAN on.
That's hard. That's a way of playing hardball without being nasty. And there's going to be a bunch of that.
Right.
So just capture it, and then hold a press conference. Here are the crazy things that the Republicans did this week. Boom. And just let it run. Make the mainstream media go, oh, we got to cover that.
Right.
And then and by doing that, we're taking action. Mel Robbins again, if you can take action, you don't have a problem.
Right.
So, all right, guys, really quick, I want to hit a couple things because of our time. Today, 2 to 5 p.m., Joan Esposito will be taking your calls and talking to Spencer Critchley, author of Patriots of Two Nations, and David Toscano, former Democratic leader of the Virginia House of Delegates and creator of the Fights for Our Lives Substack letter. Live, local, and progressive, weekdays 2 to 5 p.m. Central Time on WCPT 820. That's Joan Esposito. And my other road dog, Patty Vasquez, 5 to 7, will be driving it home with co-host Kim Mejia Beal and Dwayne Kennedy and their guest, Josh Wheel, Democratic candidate for Florida's 6th Congressional District. The April 1st special election will be held to replace Trump cabinet pick Mike Waltz. Driving it home with Patty Vasquez, weeknights on WCPT. And you can make your way over to our Heartland Signal digital platform and grab the short version and the long version of Choose Views podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Amazon, and TuneIn. Just search for Choose Views with Richard Chew or get the links by visiting heartlandsignal.com/choose-views, guys. Check us out. We have good stuff on all of our programming. And by all means, make sure you stay tuned for our WCPT Progressive lineup, which is the Stephanie Miller Show, my radio sister, on the West Coast. Tom Hartman Show, Professor of Everything Progressive. Joan Esposito, of course, live, local, and progressive. And who? Patty Vasquez in that hoopty, driving you home. Do it, guys. Check out our good stuff. So as we wrap up the show today, and I really appreciate Karen being with us today, check out her podcast, TruBlu Politics Podcast, where you get your podcast. And make sure you are following my man, Kurt Mullet, Hoosier Blue 63. He's bringing the heat, y'all. And Kurt likes to cuss. So a lot of his stuff that's on his socials got some cuss words in it.
I love it.
And you got to check it out. Because listen to me laughing from my belly. It's some of the, you got to follow my man. He's doing great work, and he's running for leadership down in his community in Indiana. So we got to get behind him and support the work that he's doing. But I have this clip from this wonderful, well-educated, elegant, smart, not perfect, but I would roll with her all day long, woman known as Vice President Kamala Harris. And this is how what I want to kind of send you guys off with this weekend and give you guys some added motivation and thoughts about what we do as we go forward. I want you guys to hear this. When we come back, we'll wrap up the show.
We are not having a pity party. That's not what we do. That's right. That's not what we do. We know the stakes. We are clear-eyed. We feel, because having feelings is a source and an indication of one's strength and humanity. But we do not let anything defeat us. And so as we close out this year and prepare for the new year, I ask all the leaders here, applaud each other and yourselves, because we love our country, and we are not going to be dispirited. We're going to spend the holidays with friends and family and the people we love. Carl Hall, I see you. We are going to... I shout out my former classmates and say this, and I give you permission that if you are going to someone's house who doesn't know how to cook, bring your own dish. You know what I'm saying? I'm all about no regrets.
Vice President Kamala Harris, listen, the energy that she brought to us during these last 4 to 6 months was just amazing. And it gets me choked up to know that the country that says it's all about who it is couldn't get out of its own way to say that her strategy, her plans, her message was better for all of us. And I know that we spend a certain amount of time saying what Democrats could have done and how we could have done better and this, that, and the other. I get that. You know, I'm that guy that's always saying, okay, did I mess up here? How did I mess up? What can I do better? I just, you know, but we can spend our time on that, or we can spend our time saying, we have a good brand. We have a powerful brand. And our ideas are better. Again, going back to David Jolly, our ideas are better, guys. And I'd be doggone if I'm going to sit back and allow us to fall into the abyss and not grab onto each other and support each other and strengthen each other so that we can fix this. We can fix this. That's what Vice President Harris is saying. We can fix this. She's not going anywhere. And whether she decides to run for president again or she decides to run it in a different capacity or simply be an advisor and part of the mix, we have the responsibility and the opportunity to say we are going to fix this. And if you listen to those words that she just put across, and if you kind of listen to the words that I've been throwing at you for a couple of weeks since the election, we're going to fix this. It's going to suck. It's going to be tough. There's no doubt about that. I'm not stupid enough or naive enough to think that there's not going to be some pain. But our responsibility to each other, our responsibility to our future, but most definitely our responsibility to our history, the good part of our history. We got to lean into that.
Yeah. Can I just say too? Wow, that that hit. We are in for a lot of tough stuff right now. But, I was thinking about it, Richard, and throughout history, and there are other countries around the world that have gone through similar things to what we are likely going to be going through. The common thread throughout humanity is that there are moments of joy. We can find moments of joy, and when we come together and going into the holiday season, that is what I'm doing. I am all decked out in my holiday colors, and that is because I'm going to wake up in the morning and I'm going to find those moments of joy. And it is because we reach out and we believe in humanity and the goodness in people that is what is going to help push us through this and get through this dark time that we're about to go through. So
drink some steel, put some steel in your spine, guys.
Absolutely.
And as we wrap up, thanks for being with me today, Karen, and thanks Kurt for calling in, and all you guys who have called in the show this week. Guys, listen, we have to do this. We have to stay strong. And as I say, as we wrap up today's show, take a deep breath. Make your life count. We'll see you next week.
It's Carrie Joy with your Work Money Minute. Today, I'm talking about why, if you've got savings, you need a high-yield savings account. High yield just means high interest. The money the bank pays you for keeping your money with them. You will probably find the highest yield savings accounts at an online bank. Just go on and Google and do some research and figure out who's offering the highest rates right now. Now, lately, it's been between 4 and 5%. That is your savings earning real interest. And okay, figuring out all the details of opening a new bank account can be very annoying, but I bet you can probably